We're looking live at Toronto, Windsor, and Ottawa tonight. Millions of people in southern Ontario are under severe weather warnings as a massive winter storm wallops the region. We'll track the storm for you and show you how residents and officials are preparing for the big blast of winter. Good evening, I'm Chris Glover. I hope you're watching us from somewhere warm and cozy because it is pretty brutal outside tonight. From Windsor to Ottawa and everywhere in between, up to 25 centimeters of snow is expected. And Environment Canada is warning of blowing snow in the Toronto and Windsor areas, with winds gusting up to 50 kilometers an hour. Jessica Ing is live for us tonight at Front and Spadina in downtown Toronto. Jessica, I can see your hair blown in the wind there. What is it like outside?
Well, you know, that snow is coming down. It is windy. It actually just picked up just at the start of our show. Roads are going to be slippery and travel is going to be extremely hazardous until this system moves east of the GTA Tuesday morning. And road conditions, again, are very slippery, and that's going to be because of this local blowing snow. I don't need to point it out, you can see it. But with all the mild weather recently, residents weren't too worried about this February storm.
Snow is good, it's natural. I like snow. It's pretty. Usually gets a little warmer when it snows.
I'm glad that I don't have to commute to work these days because I'm just working from home like a lot of people.
We feel like we're ready for sure. I mean, there's not much to do anyway, so we'll be inside.
The city says they have a comprehensive winter plan in action right now, and they say a lot of work went into this ahead of time. They say they've been planning since Thursday, all through the weekend, and it's continued up until this morning. Now, officials say they're ready, and they also have tips for residents who will be clearing this snow in the morning.
Keep it on your property, please. It's unsafe to throw it into the roadway. It's unsafe to throw it into bike lanes. So, please get out. Please shovel your sidewalk.
So this is the city's snow removal plan. They say they have about 1,100 snow clearing vehicles, and between tonight and tomorrow, they expect that every single one of them will be in use. When you see 2.5 centimeters of snow on expressways, that's when expressways will be plowed. 5 centimeters on major roads, that's when they're going to send city plows to those major roads. And 8 centimeters and the actual stopping of snow, that's when you'll see plows on city streets. But that's for tomorrow. For tonight, here is the message from Environment Canada. It could be the snowiest morning commute of the season, so give yourself a lot of extra time. Avoid non-essential travel because, again, that local blowing snow could really change road conditions and visibility very quickly. Back to you, Chris.
An important reminder, Jessica. Thanks for this tonight.
You're welcome.
And this storm isn't even half done with us yet, and we already know another system is picking up steam behind it. Colette Kennedy is tracking all of this for us. Colette.
Yeah, Chris, first things first, that other storm's coming on Thursday. We'll deal with what we have at hand. Yeah, this thing is just getting started, really just moving in, and the intensity getting a little bit more, a little heavier now. So we saw there that the snow is coming down almost sideways. Yeah, we've got these winds that are gusting now around 40 kilometers an hour. They're going to get even stronger than that. And in terms of the rate, we're going to be seeing that snow coming in at more than 2 centimeters per hour. So we'll be having those plows all the way to the local streets pretty much by the time we get to tomorrow morning. You absolutely, if you must be on the roads, do need to allow some extra time. We'll see what happens with schools, especially those ones going back for tomorrow. As the snow continues to move in, it is intensifying. We're seeing that back towards southwestern Ontario, all around the Niagara region here through the GTA, and just poking its nose now too over towards the Ottawa Valley. Now, the winter storm warnings for the areas that you see here in red. This is where we'll see the heaviest amounts of snow, but also with it blowing around, reduced visibility, although that's going to be the case throughout all these areas from eastern to southwestern Ontario. So the winter storm warning here, we're looking at 25 to 35 centimeters around the Kingston area there as well. And then through the GTA where we have the snowfall warning, we're still talking about nearly 20 centimeters, and a few locally are going to see even more than that as it will be enhanced. The timeline with this It carries on heavy stuff into the morning hours, then tapering down to lighter and then to flurries. By afternoon, we could even see some sunny breaks through the GTA. It does get lighter for the morning commute back towards southwestern Ontario, and it's going to stick with you there further off into eastern Ontario. Yeah, it's going to be around into the afternoon hours there. Wednesday, hey, it's a breather. It's a chance to enjoy the snow or to get the rest of the shoveling done. It will be at least light in nature in terms of how heavy the snow will be. And then the next system is going to be coming in for Thursday. Yes, another one. In terms of the amounts too, just to break it down a little further, probably closer to this 20 centimeters, locally some heavier amounts, Windsor, Toronto, there will be, this is tomorrow morning. Let me just roll it forward with some lake enhancement. There'll be some pockets in here that are going to be in that 35 centimeter range. And again, by tomorrow as we get towards early evening, we are looking at the Ottawa Valley where you're likely going to see that 20 centimeters or even a little more if you press over towards Brockville and towards Cornwall through that region. So again, if you must be out tomorrow, boy oh boy, lots of extra time to take it easy on those roads.
Yeah, just another reason to stay at home and to stay safe,
Yes.
right, Colette?
Yes, the weather is giving us that reason, that's for sure.
It certainly is. Thanks for this tonight.
You're welcome.
The weather is brought to you by Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. We test, so it runs. It's hard to stop a train.
Now to coverage of the pandemic, and tonight the head of Ontario's vaccine task force telling CBC officials are preparing to coordinate vaccine appointments. In the coming weeks, a call center and online reservation system will be set up to book appointments for those next in line to get the COVID vaccine. And with doses set to multiply in Ontario in the coming days, the province is also expanding who will get vaccinated in phase 1. Among the groups added are adults 80 and older. Greg Ross has that part of the story.
Age stands above and beyond the rest. It is truly the most significant risk factor.
And that is why Dr. Isaac Bogosh with the Ontario COVID-19 Vaccination Task Force says all adults 80 years of age and older have been added to phase 1 of the province's rollout plan. It's great news for 87-year-old Margaret Downey, who says the past year hasn't been easy.
I've been confined to my apartment, a condo, the whole time.
The head of the Vaccination Task Force, General Rick Hillier, says the hope is to start vaccinating people over 80 as early as the first week of March. But with millions of more doses expected to arrive in Canada in the next few months, Dr. Bogosh says the vaccination process should ramp up significantly by the end of March.
And as stage 1 moves into stage 2, we're going to see the massive expansion of vaccine centers and, of course, a big expansion of who's going to be eligible for vaccination.
There are some in the healthcare community that question who the province plans to vaccinate in phase 2.
It's not clear from the framework that was put out by the task force last month how they're going to sub-prioritize.
While phase 2 does include adults 60 years of age and older, it also includes 1.5 million essential workers of any age. Dr. Nathan Stahl is concerned that opening the process to that many people at once may create congestion and make it harder for seniors to get vaccinated.
So you've had scenes like Florida where people were waiting in lawn chairs overnight to get their place in line. We cannot forget that there's this population that's going to require probably extra infrastructure to support them booking.
He says the best solution may be to prioritize by age before anything else.
Keep it simple, use age, work down in 5-year increments from they're very old to those towards the age 60. If our goal is to save lives, which I think our primary goal should be, that's where we should be using our supply and our resources right now.
As things start to ramp up, the province is going to have to open up hundreds of more vaccination centers, and they're looking at using things like pharmacies and community centers. They're also opening up a call center so people can call and book vaccinations, as well as an online booking system as they prepare for what should be a lot of work ahead. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
To Queen's Park now, where a group of parents, teachers, and educators rallied this evening in a show of support for paid sick days for all essential workers.
We're now, 11 months into the pandemic, and it's shocking that essential workers that are doing essential jobs in our communities don't have paid sick days.
I know that schools are not safe right now because they can't be safe without paid sick days, because paid sick days are an essential component of opening up our schools and lowering transmission.
The protesters are urging the government to pass an opposition bill that would guarantee every worker 10 personal emergency leave days a year. The Legislative Assembly resumes tomorrow. Also resuming tomorrow, in-person classes in Toronto, York, and Peel. They'll be greeted by new testing protocols and mask requirements. As Trevor Dunn reports, some parents say the relief of having the kids back in the classroom is coming with some worry as well.
TDSB student Audrey Beer plays some hockey on her backyard rink. The ice pad is a new addition this year and helps keep the first grader active during the school closure.
It's been really tough.
With both parents working from home, everyone is just trying to stay balanced.
The mental health challenges are mine, right? I barely have time to string a sentence together in an email before I get another interruption. And just the lack of productivity and feeling that we're all falling behind at work and in learning has been very stressful.
Tomorrow, some relief at last, with schools in the province's COVID hotspots reopening. With the spread of the virus on the decline, students in Toronto, Peel, and York region are heading back for the first time since December. Aside from some enhanced COVID screening and mask requirements, school won't be looking much different from the fall. Virus transmission in Ontario schools has been low, and the TDSB says most students who were there before the break are coming back.
We're looking forward to having students and staff back in the classroom. At the same time, we want to make sure that we're doing so safely.
Province-wide asymptomatic testing is being bolstered for the return to school and will include both PCR and rapid antigen tests. In Toronto, it's already been happening at 8 schools leading up to tomorrow. Moving forward, the province plans testing for 40 city schools per week. In Peel region, testing will continue at 12 existing locations with mobile clinics at 4 schools. And in York region, Public Health has identified 16 schools where testing will be happening this week. But even with more testing and declining transmission rates, the relief of some parents is coupled with concern the return is being rushed.
Obviously, mixed feelings. I don't know that I felt that I was quite ready for schools to go back just yet. I think I was expecting the shutdown and the school closure to last a little bit longer and get the numbers down a little bit more before we sent them back.
The Ontario government says it's invested more than $1.6 billion more in Ontario schools. Thousands more teachers have been hired, and it says air filtration systems have been updated in most buildings. If that's enough to hold off a potential third wave of COVID-19 involving new variants of concerns in the province's hotspots, that test begins tomorrow. Trevor Dunn, CBC News, Toronto.
In nearly 30 public health units, the stay-at-home order is lifting tomorrow. Cities like Ottawa, for example, will be reopening restaurants to in-person dining. But as COVID restrictions ease, some medical experts are warning it may be happening too quickly. Amanda Pfeffer reports.
As with the unsteady first steps on the ice this year, Ottawa residents are a little trepidatious about the first reopening since Christmas.
Every time that they relax these measures, there's a ripple effect. So I hope that this time, instead of the premier shutting down everything with no warning, he can manage to see things in advance.
During a visit to watch rapid testing at a youth centre Friday, Premier Doug Ford said decisions on reopening come from the experts.
Well, again, I've always followed the health advice from our doctors 100% of the time.
The impacts of the percent of variants.
But just a day before, those experts show the new variant B117 will drive a third wave if not careful.
And so it's very critical that the control of the variant.
A journalist asked if reopening will lead to that third wave.
Am I missing something here, or is this presentation actually predicting a disaster?
No, I don't think you're missing anything.
And yet the political message is all systems go.
We will be out of lockdown on Tuesday, so please go out and support
our local businesses.
Some of us are a little bit nervous about the yo-yo and the open and close. And
Sarah Chown is the managing partner of the Metropolitan Brasserie restaurant. It shut down before Christmas, and she's looking forward to opening the doors on Tuesday. But some businesses may worry reopening means giving up rent and other subsidies, and uncertainty about another lockdown will have an impact.
it is definitely a balancing act for many, I'm sure. And I think you'll see some people probably won't open on Tuesday.
My fear is, will people just throw caution to the wind and just forget about it? And then we'll have the third wave.
It's growing clear he's not the only one worried about the third wave. Another member of the science table told CBC he puts the chances of skating through without another lockdown at less than 50%. Amanda Pfeffer, CBC News, Ottawa.
I'm very concerned. I have a little baby. I have a family.
Mass COVID testing at a Mississauga condo is now complete tonight after 5 cases of a contagious variant were found in the building. Why this cluster is raising so much concern is coming up next. You can barely see it, but this is a live shot of what it looks like in Windsor tonight. Like the rest of southern Ontario, the area is under a severe weather warning tonight with winds gusting up to 50 kilometers an hour and up to 25 centimeters of snow expected. And staying in Windsor, volunteers are working frantically to open an emergency shelter. A growing COVID-19 outbreak has forced the downtown mission to move operations. Chris Ensing reports.
The executive director of Windsor's largest drop-in homeless shelter, an emergency shelter, says that this is desperate times right now. An outbreak declared last week is growing. There are now 40 people who use this shelter that have tested positive for COVID-19 and more than a dozen staff members who have also tested positive. 46 people are still waiting on results to come back, but it's created quite the problem here in Windsor for those who don't have a place to call home during this pandemic. They've actually had to shut down the downtown mission behind me, and they're asking people to go to an old library, which is being converted into an emergency shelter for tonight.
The reality is we needed more space. How do you keep social distance when you're in a 2,500 square foot facility, right? A facility built for 100 and we've got several hundred. So in order to get to a level where we can say we are compliant 100%, we needed this. And so again, the community, the agencies around us have kind of taken us under their wing. They're going to show us some things, ways we can improve things. And this space will allow us to do that.
Ron Dunn, who's the executive director of the downtown mission, says that as far as he knows, there are no people who've tested positive that have had to go to the hospital related to the outbreak that was declared last Thursday. They're now trying to get that old library ready for people to move into tonight. This is also a night of snowfall. Windsor's been bracing for what's expected to be up to 20 centimeters of snow by the early morning hours. Dunn says that anyone who needs help should know to not go to this center here, but instead go to the old library building in Windsor's core.
I will stress this is very temporary. We do not own the building. Some people will be wondering that, how do they have the key? We've entered into an agreement with the current owner.
Dunn says they'll be operating out of that center for the foreseeable future and said that despite what's happening right now and the anxiety around this outbreak, he says what brings him calm, what he's grateful for, is the outpouring of support that's followed. Chris Ensing, CBC News, Windsor.
In Peel, health officials say they finished COVID testing at a Mississauga condo building tonight. They spent the day going door to door after a cluster of coronavirus variant cases was detected in the building. As Farah Morelli reports, officials are racing to contain the outbreak.
I found out last night.
The troubling news was broken to residents of this condo building yesterday that 5 people inside have tested positive for the highly contagious COVID variant first discovered in South Africa.
I'm very concerned. I have a little baby, I have a family, and I'm always going in and out for walks with him.
This urgent message was sent to them last night, saying there was, quote, an incident of a variant of concern. It said Peel Public Health will be going floor to floor to start COVID-19 testing today. It strongly encouraged them to get tested. Health officials say they don't believe this variant is spreading widely in the community. That's why it's taking this initiative to test and contain the 5 cases.
What's very concerning about this specific situation is that the cases involved do not appear to know each other, have not appeared to have significant close contact.
That's prompting questions about how the virus spread.
We're thinking at this point in time, the common elements hypothesis is much more plausible. Just the idea that people may have shared an elevator together, or they may have passed each other in the corridor.
We all have to accept that the air is shared in a big building.
Dr. Jeffrey Siegel studies indoor air quality. He says in some instances, building airflow can play a factor in transmission and should be looked at.
Air flows, between different units. It also flows through something like the hallways back into other units, maybe even outdoors through open windows into other units. And so the issue is perhaps that air could contain droplets or particles that have the virus in them.
No evidence so far that's the case in this condo. In a statement, the building management said Peel Public Health were on site on Sunday for a comprehensive building inspection, and it was noted that our building had already taken extreme measures to ensure the health and safety of our residents and staff, adding, we are always open to implementing further measures.
There's only so much a person can do.
For now, the anxious waiting game begins for residents who got tested today, and for health officials hoping to prevent the variant's spread beyond these walls. Farah Morali, CBC News, Toronto.
Still to come, meet the incredible siblings from Mississauga making it their mission to raise money and help rescue animals right here in the GTA. That story coming up next. Finally for us tonight, if you're looking for a bit of inspiration this Family Day holiday, boy, have I found the brother-sister duo for you. They've raised tens of thousands of dollars for GTA animal rescues after their family's rescue dog died suddenly a couple of years ago.
It was heartbreaking for me. I loved her so much. We all did. And it was hard to see her go, but I knew there was something that had to be the good karma of having karma. So for my 8th birthday, I just decided, I had this feeling in my heart that I wanted to give back to the world, to the animals.
He's getting a lot of good karma coming back his way. That is 11-year-old Will Finch alongside his 17-year-old sister Jada, and their beloved pup Karma died suddenly from parvovirus in 2017. So for Will's birthday a few months later, they raised nearly $400. The charitable operation was so rewarding for the family that they minted their own charity called Goodwill Good Karma, and in the years since, they've raised some $45,000 in cash donations and supplies to help save other animals. Just a very sweet story. Love to see that inspiring look at what our kids can do. And one last look outside. It's a rough one.